Hello students, welcome to section 5.3 and the topic for today is foiling and factoring quadratics. Probably the most important section in chapter 5, okay, and probably in algebra 2. So the objective for today is I can factor a quadratic when a is equal to 1, I can factor a quadratic when a is prime, and I can solve a quadratic equation. So a few definitions. Monomial, mono means one term. Okay, one term, such as x. Binomial, like bicycle, two terms. Trinomial means three. And poly means more than three, which many. Okay, so poly could be 4, 5, 6. So poly means many. Okay, so just few definitions. The first objective is how do we multiply two binomials? Binomials means 2x plus 7 times 2x minus 8. So we have a shortcut that we call this FOIL. Okay, and F stands for first, O stands for outer, I stands, and L stands for last. So let me just do one example for you. So when you multiply two binomials, first you do, that's your first step, you do x times x, which is x squared. Then you do outer, x times 7. So that's your second step. And x times 7 is 7x. Okay, let me change the colors. Then you do inner, which would be third step. Okay, that's your third step. 4 times x, which is 4x. And the last thing you will do, you multiply the last term, which is 4 times 7, which is equal to 28. Okay? Please don't stop here. You can combine the two middle terms, and this is extremely important for our next part of the lesson when we will factor. In other words, we'll undo foiling. You can always combine the two middle terms. Not always, but in this case, okay? 7x plus 4x is 11x. So your final answer should be x squared plus 11x plus 28. Okay, so this is your final answer to this example. Please pause this video and try example number 2. Okay, so I hope you had enough time to time to do number 2. Number 2, same thing. First step, 5x times x, which is 5x squared. 5x times negative 3, negative 15x. Let me erase this. My smartboard is not working properly. 5x times negative 3, negative 15x. Foil. Then I'm doing inner. Negative 2 times x will be negative 2x. And last thing you will do, you will multiply the last terms, which would be 5x times negative 3, which is, I think I made a mistake somewhere. 5x squared minus, yeah, and the last thing you will do, you will multiply negative 2 times 3. That's the mistake. Okay, the last thing you will do, multiply negative 2 times negative 3, which is positive 6. Again, I can combine middle terms. Negative 15x and negative 2x will be negative 17x. So your final answer should be 5x squared minus 17x plus 6. Okay? So it'll be 5x squared minus 17x plus 6. Okay, so in the next part, we will factor. Okay, again, this is time consuming and this is not easy, so let's do this slowly. So first thing you want to do, you want to put everything on the left side. So you will do plus 6v plus 6v. So you get v squared plus 6v is equal to 0. Okay? And now think about greatest common factor. V squared and 6v. Do we have something in common? And the answer is yes. Okay? What's in common is v. So if I factor v, think about undoing distributive property. V times what is v squared? That has to be v. Okay? V times what is 6v? It has to be plus 6. So that's how you factor this binomial. Again, you can always check it by applying distributive property. Question number 2, please notice that question number 2 is not written in standard form. Okay, so first thing I want you to do, put everything on the left and make it equal to 0. In other words, put it in the form ax squared plus bx plus c. So x squared minus 2x minus 48 is equal to 0. Okay? Now, in this problem, first thing you want to do is see if you have any common term, okay? We cannot factor any, you cannot factor x, also you cannot factor any constant. So next thing you will do, you will factor. Think about FOIL. What did you do first? You multiply first times first. In other words, what number times what number is equal to x squared? It has to be x times x. Okay? Now, last, L stands for the last number times the last number. And the two terms in the middle you are adding. So let's look at negative 48. That's the best way to explain factoring. What two numbers multiply to negative 48? You could do negative 1 times 48. But it could be also 1 times negative 48. It could be also negative 2 times 24. But it could be also 2 times negative 24. So list all the factors, okay, and you will see it. It could be also 3 times 16 or negative 3 times 16, but it could be also 3 times negative 16, okay? It could be also 4 times 12, so negative 4 times 12, but it could be also equal to 4 times negative 12. Okay, and I'm going on, and it could be also 6 and 8. Okay, so I don't have space, but I'm gonna say it could be 6 times negative 8, but it could be also negative 6 times positive 8. How do I know which pair to pick? Okay, when we did FOIL, did you notice that we were combining the two middle terms? You were adding the two middle terms. So look at all the choices. Which two numbers will add to negative 2? Okay, and the answer is this. Why is it this? Because 6 negative 8 is equal to negative 2. So your final answer should be x minus 8 and x plus 6. Again, this is not easy, so you have to practice. Okay, we'll do one more example here. Okay, example number 3. So example number 3, you have to first write this in standard form, which means you want 0 on the right side. So you get n squared plus 6n plus 8 is equal to 0. Okay, first thing, look for GCF. You cannot factor, there is no common factor. So now try to factor it. Please remember, we are undoing FOIL. What number times itself is n squared? It has to be n and it has to be n. Now look at 8. Okay? What two numbers can you multiply and get 8? It could be 1 times 8, but it could be also 2 times 4. And which pair do you think I will pick? I have to pick the pair, and when you add the two numbers, you will get the middle term, which is 6n. In this case, 2 plus 4 is equal to 6. So that'll be n plus 2, n plus 6. So that's how you factor this trinomial. Okay, we'll stop with this video and I will create another one to finish this section.